Hello, come on in. I've been expecting you for a while. Go ahead and have a seat by the fire. You're here to listen to some tales from the Midnight Reaper, aren't you? Well, I got a good one for you tonight. I hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and listen to this. Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Midnight Reaper. This week's story comes to us all the way from Durango, Mexico. Out in the outskirts of Durango, Mexico, there was a small village. The village had maybe about 20 houses, and in the outskirts of it lived an old, fragile lady, whom the little kids used to go out and used to love paying her a couple coins to see some of the objects move. They say that the old lady would be able to make objects that would sit on the table move. They would see the broomsticks move from one side of the room to the other. She can also make some of the dolls move from one spot to the other. Some people say that she had a doll as a daughter, and she would talk to her and the daughter would respond back to her and move from one place to another. Well, a few years passed by and some of the kids started growing up. I remember one time my family decided to slaughter a pig in our house. As is tradition in Mexico, when somebody slaughters a pig, they decide to save the lard, and some of the people come over and try to buy a little bit of it from our family. In this occasion, there wasn't a lot of lard, so there wasn't much to sell. It was only enough for my family to keep. The lady, who was known to be a witch in the town, decided to come over and see if we can sell her a little bit of lard. When she came over, she asked my grandmother if she can spare some for her. My grandmother explained to her that there wasn't enough lard for the family and she couldn't sell her much. The old lady said not to worry about it, and she started walking away. As she was walking away, my father came out of the house and asked my grandmother what she wanted. So my grandmother told him what she needed, and he decided to go ahead and sell her a little bit of lard because of her reputation as a witch. When my father walked into the kitchen, he opened up the tub and saw that where the lard was, it turned into maggots. So my father decided to chase after the witch and tell her that he will go ahead and sell her a little bit of lard and it would be okay. The old lady turned around and said, "Okay, I'm glad you made up your mind. Let's go back and get some lard." When my father went back to the kitchen with the old lady, he opened up the tub again and he noticed that it was no longer maggots, but it was lard again. To his surprise, he went ahead and sold her some and told the townspeople what had happened. Everybody decided to leave the old lady alone because of her reputation. Several more years went by and the old lady died. Not knowing how to bury her, they decided to have a wake for her, but not at the church. They decided to have it at my parents' house. Back then, as your coffin was being built, it was tradition to lay you over the table with a cloth over your head and put a couple coins in your eyes. So that's exactly what we did. And I remember that the old lady was just laying there, motionless, her body dead. While people were a little nervous about having a wake for her, they decided to go ahead and start praying for her so her soul can go up to heaven. It started getting late and some of the people started to get a little scared, so most of them had left for the night. There was only a few that stayed behind and they continued to pray for the lady. As they were praying, they noticed that there was some commotion happening under the table. Some of them started to get a little nervous, but one of them decided to lift the tablecloth, and what they saw was to their surprise. There was a big black dog just growling at them. Nobody knew where the dog came from, and nobody claimed to have seen the dog before in the town. They would have known since the town was only small, and there was about 20 huts, 20 houses, and nobody else was around. Nobody knew where the dog had come from. Everyone got scared, so they decided to leave the room. As they left the room, the last person locked the room with the lock, and then they congregated in the living room to talk about what had happened. Not believing this, my father decided to go back to the kitchen and see what the whole ordeal was about and see what dog they were talking about, since we didn't own any dogs at the time. So a couple of the men decided to come back with them, and they opened up the lock and went inside. They saw that the old lady's body was still covered and they didn't see no dog under the table. So my father decided to pull the tablecloth from her, and to his surprise there was no body. There had been the shape of the body, but there was nobody there. There was no dog, there was no old lady. They both had disappeared. Word spread around and the entire town started freaking out. Some people said that they saw the devil come and pick her up. Other people say that there was a huge dust storm and they came and grabbed her. And they, meaning demons. As the weeks and months went by, everybody decided to leave. And now it's an abandoned town. A lot of people decide to go out there urban exploring, but to their surprise, they keep seeing shadows of an old lady laughing in the background. A lot of them claim to see a big black dog chasing after them or just staring at them from the rooftops of the houses. I couldn't tell you for sure, which I wasn't there. All I can tell you is that ever since the witch has been gone, I have a new friend. I call her Molly. She sits here with me and she walks around with me, but she can never leave the room. She can't talk, she mostly looks at me and moves her arms and legs. She walks towards me every now and then, and sometimes I sit around with her and we just play games. My mother can't see her move, only I can see her, and when I tell my mom about her, she tells me I'm crazy. So, I hope you believe the story is true, because I do have Molly. Look at your screen. This is Molly, and she's happy to meet you. If I were you, I wouldn't mock her. She has a tendency to come after you if you started laughing at her. So when you're looking at her right now through the screen, through your TV, or any method you're watching her, make sure you say hi to Molly, or she will know that you didn't, and she's going to come after you in your sleep. So, next time you're in Mexico, and you're in Durango, and you happen to come upon a small ghost town with 20 little huts, make sure you're careful. Look around, check your surroundings, and don't let the witch catch you at night alone.